Welcome to Spectrum TV News at 12. I am Uyai INEC and coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. Let's take a look at the major stories. President Buhari says Nigeria to raise 30 billion naira bonds to tackle climate change. INEC shifts governorship and House of Assembly pause by 1 week. Plus, wave of Russian strikes hit Ukraine. We'll bring you details of these stories and more in a moment. Thanks for joining us. In the news this afternoon, Nigeria's leader, President Muhammadu Buhari, who said that Nigeria raised over 30 billion naira to finance its climate change adaptation efforts by issuing 2 sovereign green bonds, while urging the most vulnerable countries to emulate Nigeria's homegrown resource mobilization. Buhari said it is likely to break the yoke of difficulties in accessing funds from developed countries' financial institutions. According to a statement signed by the President's Senior Special Assistant on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, the President assured that Nigeria would use its position as host of the headquarters of the Sahel Climate Fund to ensure that members accessed climate finance at fairer and reasonable conditions. On electoral matters, the Independent National Electoral Commission has postponed governorship and state assembly elections earlier scheduled for Saturday to March 18. The Commission took the decision at its management meeting in Abuja after the Court of Appeal gave it to go ahead to reconfigure bimodal voter accreditation machines, BVAs. In a statement by its National Commissioner and Chairman Information and Voter Education Committee, Festus Okoye, INEC said it could not go ahead with the governorship poll as earlier scheduled because it needed time to reconfigure BVAs machines which were used for the presidential election on the 25th of February. Meanwhile, the Federal High Court in Lagos has ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission to directly and electronically upload from the polling unit to the IREV the results of the forthcoming governorship and State House of Assembly elections in Lagos State. Justice Peter Lifu made the order while delivering judgment on a suit filed by the Labour Party and 41 others in which they sought an order of mandamus to compel INEC to obey the Electoral Act and its guidelines for the conduct of the elections. The judge held that the court had the jurisdiction to entertain the suit because it was commenced in accordance with the provisions of the law. Elsewhere, the Middle Belt Forum (MBF) have demanded the resignation of the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Mahmood Yakubu, alleging that they subverted the wishes of Nigerians over the Commission's failure to electronically transmit the results of the 25th February presidential election. The forum said the basis of the support of the people of the Middle Belt for the presidential candidate of Labour Party, Peter Obi, in the last general election was in line with its sense of justice, equity and fair play. In a statement, the president of MBF, Bodru Bitrus in Abuja, emphasized that the INEC chairman should either resign or be sacked by President Buhari. On judicial matters, the Federal High Court in Lagos has adjourned till June 7 for further hearing in the alleged 21 billion naira fraud involving a former Chief of Air Staff, Adeshola Amosu, and 2 others. Amosu is being prosecuted by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, for alleged conspiracy and conversion of the funds belonging to the Nigerian Air Force to their personal use. Also being prosecuted with him are former Chief of Account and Budgeting and Air Commodore Gbedabo Omoduni, a former Director of Finance and Budgeting. Recall that on Tuesday, November 13, 2018, the anti-graft agency rearraigned Amosu and the defendants on an amended 13-count charge bordering on money laundering to the tune of 21 billion naira. In a separate development, the Director General of National Youth Service Corps (NYSC), Yasu Ahmed, has inaugurated a 13-man think tank committee to drive the actualization of his 5-point policy for the scheme. While inaugurating the committee, the DG reiterated his promise and readiness to take the scheme to enviable heights with innovations. Ahmed charged members of the committee to work with all departments at the National Directorate Headquarters, Abuja, the NYSC area offices, and other structures of the scheme, as well as liaise with various NYSC stakeholders towards the actualization of the policy thrust mandate. He encouraged them to be diligent in their new assignment, adding that they had been selected on merit. On a sad note, 2 persons have been confirmed killed and many casualties recorded as a moving train rammed into a Lagos State government bus at the PWD bus stop in the Ikeja area of the state this morning. The Lagos State Traffic Management Authority LASMA spokesman Adebayo Taofeek confirmed the incident in a telephone chat with newsmen. Also, a spokesman for the National Emergency Management Agency in Lagos, Ibrahim Farinoye, said 2 adult female staff of the state government who died and several others who were injured have been evacuated. According to him, the state government staff bus was trying to cross the PWD and Sogunle rail crossing while the train coming into Lagos from Abeokuta trapped the bus on its rail. Reports say first responders have since arrived at the scene and rescue activities are ongoing. In Africa, the International Organization for Migration (IOM) Chief Antonio Vitorino says around 5,000 migrants are being held in official detention centers in Libya, but could represent just a few. Speaking on Geneva, Vitorino decried the violation of the rights of migrants in Libya as he urged them to look for alternatives to the detention of people on the road to exile. Recall that in Libya, the United Nations Agency of Migrants collaborated with the refugee agency UNHCR to provide assistance to migrants in official detention centers. Still in Africa, the United Nations Security Council has extended sanctions and arms embargo against Sudan by a year. The 15-member council voted to renew the mandate of the panel of experts charged with monitoring and implementing the sanctions and embargo until 12th of March next year. 13 countries so far voted in favor of the motion, with Russia and China abstaining. Meanwhile, China's representative Dai Bing said the sanctions were outdated and should be lifted. Also, U.S. Representative John Kelly said they endorsed a continuation of monitoring and reporting, adding that the progress on benchmarks anchored in the Juba peace deal signed in 2020 would move Sudan and its people and towards the peace and prosperity they deserve. On the foreign scene, a wave of Russian strikes have reportedly hit Ukraine this morning, with casualties, recorded. The attacks mark the biggest day of Russian missile strikes on Ukraine since the end of January, when 11 people died after dozens of buildings were struck in several regions. The port city of Odessa, Governor Maxim Mechenko, said a mass missile attack struck an energy facility in the city, triggering power cuts. Maxim added that residential areas were also hit, but no casualties were reported. According to him, at least 5 people were killed in Lviv after a rocket hit their home in western Ukraine. Still on the foreign scene, Georgia's ruling party has said it will pull a controversial draft law in the face of mass protests and widespread international criticism. Georgian President Salome Zarafil, while backing the protesters, said his party was pulling the bill unconditionally. In a statement, the European Union delegation in Georgia said the move to drop the law was a welcome announcement and encouraged political leaders to resume pro-EU reforms. Recall that thousands of protesters had taken to the streets in Tel Aviv this week as the Russian-style law began its passage through parliament. Still to come in the news. Bayern beats PSG to reach Champions League quarterfinals. To stay with us.
Power to the people. Akwa Ibom arise and shine. Akwa Ibom arise and shine. Vote tomorrow, Akone Yagenyi. Make we vote tomorrow, Akone Yagenyi. For peace and security, Shebina job creation. I say for youth empowerment, everybody vote tomorrow. Akwa Ibom go better. For agriculture, Abina women development, Shebina interest-free loan you want to. My people go to Moino. Akwa Ibom go better.
Akwa Ibom people, vote for job creation, vote for peace and unity, vote Pastor Umo Eno Anakone Yaganyi as governor and deputy governor for 2023 election. Vote PDP.
Go to Moino. Akwa Ibom go better.
Thanks for staying tuned, and now to the rest of the news. In business, the Central Bank of Nigeria has issued operational guidelines for open banking in Nigeria to ensure stability in the nation's financial system. The Apex Bank in the circular said the guidelines would create greater access to customer-focused data sharing between banks and third-party firms. The circular, signed by the Director of Payment Services Management Department, Musa Jima, entitled Issuance of Operational Guidelines for Open Banking in Nigeria, said the guidelines were part of the central bank's mandate to ensure financial stability in Nigeria. According to the circular, all stakeholders were mandated to ensure strict compliance with the guidelines and other regulations. Still in business, the International Air Transport Association, IATA, has said that African airlines have recorded a 124% growth in passenger traffic in the past year. The Switzerland-based IATA, which represents international airlines globally, said the recovery in air travel demand was continuing in 2023 based on January traffic results. It said the growth was aided by the lifting of the zero-COVID policy in China, noting that total January 2023 domestic traffic was about 97.4% of the January 2019 level. Also, the IATA said international traffic climbed by 104.0% versus January 2022, with all markets recording strong growth led by carriers in the Asia-Pacific region. On our health news, women have reportedly been identified as the primary victims of wars and conflict, yet they remain severely underrepresented at diplomatic negotiations. The executive director of the United Nations Women, Sima Bowes, who stated this, therefore called on the international community to do more to protect the lives, health and rights of women worldwide. Bowes called out what she said was gender apartheid in Afghanistan, where women have effectively been squeezed out of public life since Taliban swept back into power in August of 2021, banning women from attending universities, going to parks and removing them from many jobs. Turning to Russia's war against Ukraine, which is now in its second year, Bowes said that women and their children represent about 90% of the 8 million Ukrainians who have had to flee the country, while women and girls constitute nearly 70% of the millions displaced within Ukraine.
In many places, women's sexual and reproductive rights are being rolled back. In some countries, girls go to school, risk kidnapping and assault. In others, police prey on vulnerable women they have sworn to protect. Gender equality is growing more distant. On the current track, where New Women puts it 300 years away. Maternal mortality is increasing. One woman dies every 2 minutes during pregnancy or childbirth. Most of these deaths are preventable. The impact of the COVID-19 pandemic continues for millions of girls forced out of school, mothers and caregivers forced out of paid employment, and children forced into early marriage. From Ukraine to the Sahel, crises and conflicts affect women and girls first and worst. And at the international level, some countries now even oppose the inclusion of a gender perspective in multilateral negotiations. Your focus this year on closing gender gaps in technology and innovation could not be more timely. Because as technology races ahead, women and girls are being left behind. The math is simple. Without the insights and creativity of half the world, science and technology will fulfill just half their potential. 3 billion people are still unconnected to the internet, but the majority of them women and girls in developing countries. And in least developed countries, just 19% of women are online. Globally, girls and women make up just 1/3 of students in science, technology, engineering.
Still in health, as the world marks the 2023 Kidney Day WKD today, medical experts have said no fewer than 45,000 Nigerians die yearly owing to kidney failure. They said 50,000 patients need kidney transplant dialysis yearly, but only 5,000 get it. The experts warned that more Nigerians will develop end-stage kidney disease (ESKD) yearly and will require dialysis transplantation, emphasizing how kidney damage kills more people than malaria, human immunodeficiency virus (HIV) and tuberculosis (TB). They, however, identified hypertension, diabetes, chronic infection, bleaching cream, abuse of painkillers, and unregulated use of herbal medicine as major causes of chronic kidney disease. On second Thursday of March, the world ever celebrates World Kidney Day to raise awareness on kidney diseases. The day also sensitizes people about the increasing number of kidney-related diseases across the world and also emphasizes the need for different strategies to prevent kidney diseases. Moving now to sports, where Bayern Munich yesterday ended the Champions League hopes of Paris Saint-Germain, beating the French club 2-0 in the second leg of their last 16 tie to reach the quarterfinals 3-0 on aggregate. Leading 1-0 from the first leg in Paris last month, Eric Maxim Moting put Bayern in front on the night at the Allianz Arena, and substitute Sergei Gnabry wrapped up the victory a minute from time. Bayern were worthy winners against a flat PSG side for whom neither Kylian Mbappe nor Lionel Messi had the expected impact on the game, while Neymar was missing with an ankle injury. It is the second season running in which PSG have gone out of the Champions League in the last 16 and the fifth time in the last 7 campaigns that Qatar-owned club has failed to go beyond the first knockout round. Still in sports, former Real Madrid boss Zinedine Zidane is reportedly demanding the signing of Barcelona star Ousmane Dembele if it's to become Paris Saint-Germain manager. Zidane continues to be linked with the PSG's role as concerns grow over Christophe Galtier. According to El Nacional, PSG hierarchy are weighing up whether to sack Galtier as the Parisians were eliminated from the UEFA Champions League at the hands of Bayern Munich. Zidane has always been admired by the Parisians, and he is viewed as the manager who can finally bring the UEFA Champions League to the Parc des Princes. The Frenchman led Real Madrid to the trophy on 3 consecutive occasions before leaving Santiago Bernabeu in 2021. On our entertainment news, a musical based on the life of the late US singer Frank Sinatra is set to open in Birmingham in September. The singer, who died in 1998, was best known for hits such as Come Fly With Me, My Way, and New York. Reports say Sinatra, the musical, will receive its world premiere at the Birmingham Rep Theatre on the 23rd of September. It will mark the 70th anniversary of Sinatra's visit to the city, where he performed during his 1953 UK tour. Still on entertainment, a Nigerian-born music manager was reportedly stabbed to death after celebrating his birthday with a designer watch worth up to £300,000. The Old Bailey court has heard that Emmanuel Odunlami, 32, was attacked by 3 robbers after leaving the Haas restaurant near St. Paul's Cathedral in the City of London on May 1st, 2022. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do well to follow us on social media. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. You have been watching Spectrum TV News at 12. I am Uyai INEC, and thanks for watching, and do enjoy the rest of your day.